gain some offense.
Yeah, obviously you kind of got to give Ahmed the benefit of the doubt for that first round. It is extremely difficult learning experience against a guy like Fundora. You got to get maybe a round or two under your belt just to kind of gain your distance, figure out where are the spots that I can attack, and then you got to move forward from there and try not to get caught, because Fundora, as we know, I mean, he's got some pop in his punches.
Numerically, 24 punches landed for Fundora, just 4 for Khabib Ahmed in the opening stanza. Fundora with that big left uppercut that jacked the jaw of Khabib Ahmed.
And then if you're Ahmed, he thinks he's on the outside, but yet he's still within striking distance of Fundora.
There's a vicious left uppercut. Ahmed might be hurt. Boy, does he got a strong chin, does Khabib Ahmed.
And I think Fundora's looking to finish this right here.
Driving him to the perimeter of the ring, a sweeping right hook. And now Sebastian Fundora is unloading upon Khabib Ahmed to try to finish him off. He's got him with his back on the ropes, and Fundora is swarming Khabib Ahmed. Ahmed trying to keep himself upright. Lawrence Cole watching the action. It is target practice for Sebastian Fundora as he tries to finish off Khabib Ahmed, and this one is over in under 2 rounds. Sebastian Fundora destroys Khabib Ahmed here tonight at AT&T Stadium.
Fantastic job by the corner with Jorge Carmona. I mean,
he steamrolled him.
Exactly. I mean, you needed to save him. There was no break, no room to breathe for Ahmed, and fortunately they stopped that. Unlike the last fight that we just saw, they stopped it when it needed to be stopped. Fundora, I mean, just what more can you say about him? What a 2020 he had.
Well, he's only getting better. That's the scary thing. Miguel, take us behind what you saw.
I mean, it was the uppercut that continued to just be such a big problem for Ahmed. I don't think he ever got a good grasp on how to approach a guy like Fundora, and Fundora obviously used that to his advantage. I mean, he just continued to swarm Ahmed. Ahmed never got a break at all. Like, there was consistent punches in his face for a good, I want to say, 30 seconds. Like,
look at this onslaught here by Sebastian Fundora.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
no
12,
room to breathe
13,
at all.
14.
And then Lawrence Cole had seen enough.
And there was more punches that I didn't count. That was pretty much.
Look at this. Bang. Oh my. And also, from a stylistic standpoint, he gets proper leverage behind his shots.
All of his shots, because it's such a, I mean, look at what we're seeing, the height difference, the way it is. Usually, this is a type of build that you're used to seeing heavyweights, and they're taller, they're 6'3" and above, and you kind of got to get your leverage as like a normal fight. Fundora, these guys are not used to the leverage he's getting. These are all pretty much power shots that he's throwing at this weight class.
He's getting better, because even though it was a primarily offensive demonstration, he did show some good defense tonight.
Oh, he won 1,000%. And Ahmed, I mean, give him all the credit in the world for taking this fight on a week's notice. He tried to give it his best, but he just could never recover. And that was a great stoppage, like I said, again, by the corner of Ahmed. You know, as he gets to see another day.
He barely broke a sweat. Here's Jimmy Lennon Jr.
We have the time of 1 minute 30 seconds in round number 2. A referee in charge, Lawrence Cole, stops the contest. He is the winner by way of technical knockout and the winner of the WBA Super Welterweight World Title Eliminator, and still undefeated, the towering Inferno, Sebastian Fundora.
Sebastian Fundora elevates his record to 16 wins, no losses, 1 draw, 11 wins coming by way of knockout. That is 3-0 for him here in 2020. He started it off with a win over Daniel Lewis by unanimous decision, back on the undercard of Wilder Fury 2. Then he followed it up on August 22, becoming the first guy to stop Nate Gallimore, and then he defeats Khabib Ahmed in the Super Welterweight title eliminator matchup.
Just a tremendous performance by Fundora. And now, I mean, 3 fights again under your belt in 2020. What a great year for Fundora. As we talked about, one of the few fighters that could remain active and can say he fought 3 times in 2020. And again, there you see the quote, "This card is just another chance to show I'm not a joke. I'm not just a freak that's tall, like, oh, that's all he sells for, that I can really fight." And he's proved that once again. And, you know, when you look at that super welterweight division, I think he's now officially a name that you can put amongst the Herds and the Williams and the Rosarios and the Charlos. He is a certain threat at the super welterweight division.
I don't know how many guys are looking to line up to fight somebody like Sebastian Fundora.
I mean, like we said, you can't, it's impossible to game plan against like that. Unless you can get like Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder in your training camp. I mean, just to get the size.
Drop to what, 75? Oh my goodness.
It's going to be extremely difficult. I think Jamonte Clark gave you the closest blueprint that you can do and have some success against a guy like Fundora. But again, even Jamonte Clark is somewhat of a freak athlete when you look at just how he's built.
Well, his reach, his 80-inch reach is what you're alluding to. But my goodness, this guy is just, he's getting better. And he's only 22 years of age. He's going to turn 23 on December 28th. But he's still relatively a kid as a prize fighter.
And he's only going to get stronger. He's still growing, as crazy as it sounds. He's learning more and more. I mean, he's still only 4 years into the sport, you know, and that is saying a lot. And obviously he's trained in the sport before then, but as far as being a pro, 4 years as a pro is not a long time, and he's continuing to learn, and he's under great management with Samson Boxing, and again,
they're Premier Boxing champions as well, so we love to see him anytime out.
And they again going to be smart with them. There's no, at 22 years old, there is no need to rush him. And there you see right there, Fundora talking about Jermell. Is that he's got him in his eyesight, and I mean that is a fight that. Who knows if that's next? I don't know if that would be next, but I would love just to see.
Summer's hotting up.
What a way to get things underway.
What a start.
Indian fans rejoice. He's done it again. Magnificent work.
With McDelivery, Macca's comes to you so you can enjoy it at home, fast, safe and contact-free. Search Macca's website for your local delivery partner.
Gippsland Dairy Yogurt. The taste made me do it.
Here's to Nescafe Farmers Origins. Make choices taste better with our new Brazil Lungo. Approved for Nespresso machines.
Christmas Made Fun catalogue sale on now at Super Cheap Auto. Club Plus members save every day on the new range of XTM 4x4 accessories in store now. Plus these Castrol Magnatec 5-litre engine oils half price.
Ever get the feeling you're being watched? Maybe you are. Hackers could steal the personal information on your device or see what you send over Wi-Fi, like your payment details. That's why Norton 360 includes a VPN for online privacy, device security with antivirus and more. Keep prying eyes out. Get Norton 360, available at au.norton.com or at leading retailers.
Nobody likes 2020, so we're celebrating the end of it with our Good Riddance 2020 sale. Full online access and 7-day newspaper delivery for just $1 a day for the first 20 days. Search News Special Offer.
How do you feel about an adventure?
I have no idea what they're in for.
Foxtel Movies brings you the latest blockbusters all in one place.
Here we go.
We almost all died in an avalanche.
Gentlemen, good luck.
Bring the cinema experience home.
# live your best life.
Watch on demand this summer.
Who told him don't do what he did.
Yeah, and Ramirez made him pay, and that's what he did. He has continued to look excellent in his last couple of bouts, and he is going to be a very difficult contender. And then we look right here, Ray. I mean, Josecito Lopez turning back the clock, just took it to Francisco Santana, and unfortunately, he took a little bit, way too much punishment.
That's when the fight should have stopped. That's when the fight should have stopped in the 9th round. And then this was unnecessary punishment, but Josecito Lopez went ahead and did his job. And that was another look at the knockdown in the 9th round. But here's the 10th. And that was just an onslaught from the outset.
Yeah, let's just hope Santana is okay as he continues to recover, and that he can continue to go back to his family and friends. I mean, he really has a warrior spirit, but again, well, as we said, took way too much punishment. As for Lopez, again, turning back the clock, and he has made himself into, again, a final run to be a top contender.
And we just saw the towering Inferno tower over and blow right through Khabib Ahmed.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a clinic again, just dominating fashion. And as we see, Fundora has always been, as far as one of the hot prospects in boxing to watch for, and he continues to prove why, as he just dismantled Khabib Ahmed extremely easily. And there you see just overwhelming onslaught in a quick second round knockout, not TKO victory. I mean, it was so easy. I mean, we may see him fight in January, honestly.
I mean, look, he likes to stay active, and I'm not opposed to it, but I'm curious to see who is next for Sebastian Fundora.
Who wants it? Maybe run it back with Jamonte Clark. It was his only draw. I'd like to see that, see how he can match up against a guy that gave him his toughest test of his career so far.
So we are getting closer to our main event for the WBC and IBF welterweight championships of the world. Danny Garcia, the 2-division world champion, looking to hand Errol Spence the first loss of his professional career. Errol Spence, he has been away from the sport for dating back quite a while, over 14 months, a layoff of 434 days for Errol Spence. He encountered a car accident back on October 10 of last year, where his Ferrari flipped over multiple times. Thankfully, just facial injuries, some bumps and bruises. Spence is okay. Since that time period, he relocated from living here in Uptown to residing in a suburb outside of Dallas, where he has 50 to 60 acres, where he's comfortable. He's with his family. He's once again a new father. His newborn son came into the world back on October 28. So he has 3 children now, does Errol Spence. Taking on Danny Garcia, the 2-division world champion. And from an American football standpoint, Errol Spence Jr. is from right here in Dallas. He's a diehard Cowboys fan, fighting here at the home of the Cowboys, AT&T Stadium. Danny Garcia is from Philadelphia. He's a diehard Eagles fan. So we have an NFC East matchup and a showdown, but this time in the boxing ring.
Exactly. That's what it is, Ray. You talk about, you know, the East Coast and the South, and when you look at Errol Spence, Danny Garcia, I mean, these two guys, they were supposed to fight, you know, obviously before, and then the horrific accident happened, and then Danny Garcia went on to fight Ivan Redkach, and, you know, he sort of kind of was able to get through that fight. Wasn't as impressive that many people thought it should have been, but again, if you're looking at it from Danny Garcia's perspective, you go from thinking you're going to fight Errol Spence after he comes off his big victory against Sean Porter in LA, and you know, you're game planning for that, and then obviously plans change and you got to fight a guy like Ivan Redkach, and you're maybe not as motivated anymore, you know, because you thought you were going to get the best in the division. And then, you just got to win it. Now we're back here. This is the fight that Danny Garcia thought he was going to have a year ago, and it is finally here. And this is the moment he's been waiting for. This is, like he said, if he beats Errol Spence, he can now, there's no more talk of being critical of Danny Garcia or not calling him one of the best in the welterweight. You beat Errol Spence, you are the best in the welterweight division.
Well, Shawn Porter, former world champion, has shared the ring with both men. Here's what he had to say, Miguel.
I think it's important for Danny to start fast. I think it's important for Danny to be in Errol Spence's grill, be in his face. Even if he isn't aggressive at putting Errol against the ropes and banging him up for 12 rounds, I think he definitely has to get into Errol's face and let Errol know that there's nowhere he can go that Danny won't be. I think Danny needs to make him understand very, very quickly that he's in a fight.
Meantime, on the other side, I think as long as Errol uses his jab, uses his boxing ability, I think it's a fight that he can win, even though he's coming off of a long layoff. Do you agree with the assessment of Showtime Shawn Porter?
What better assessment can you have, Ray, than the guy that fought Errol Spence last and really probably gave Errol his toughest test to that point? I mean, you saw the game plan that Shawn Porter gave against Errol. He made it wasn't a pretty fight. He gave him everything he could handle, and he like he told Danny, that's the recipe. I was in his grill from round one on. There was no waiting out, feeling each other out. I was in his grill, and I made it as tough as possible. And he was, wherever Errol was, that's where Shawn was, and that's the game plan, because it was only a split decision loss for Shawn Porter. That is sort of the recipe for Danny Garcia.
Well, let's go back and revisit the last time we saw Errol Spence in the ring at Staples Center in Los Angeles against Showtime Shawn Porter. And that big shot there by Errol Spence Jr. And again, Miguel, what a battle that we saw at Staples Center on September 28th of last year.
It was a phone booth fight, Ray. They literally were connected that entire fight. Look at, there was no room for improvement, and Shawn made sure, and it was the one mistake that Shawn made, and it probably was the difference in the fight. Left himself open, and then Errol again connected and scored that knockdown in a huge 10-8 round that may have swayed the judges and been the difference in the fight for what was an extremely, extremely close fight.
And there is Errol Spence when he became, and he took home the WBC Welterweight Championship of the world. Danny Garcia coming into enemy territory, Miguel, but you know what? He thrives on this kind of atmosphere.
Garcia, Spence, I mean, Spence again, he was here back in March of 2019 against Mikey Garcia, had this place filled, and now we get our main event here with Danny Garcia and Errol Spence, and this is a chance for Errol to prove that he is still the same guy before the accident 14 months ago, and Danny Garcia to prove that, you know, I'm a guy that needs to be put at the top of the welterweight division. I am a top contender. I am worthy of being challenging for the world title.
Do you think that the experience factor will play a difference in the favor of Danny Garcia? Danny is 11-2 against current or former world champions. Errol is 5-0 against current or former champions.
I don't think so. I mean, if you look at Errol's has the experience. You know, you fought Mikey here at Cowboy Stadium. He went to England. He went into enemy territory to win his belt against a guy, Kell Brook, who at that time was the champ and in his home city. And then you look at Danny Garcia. Obviously, I mean, he's fought some of the top guys, Paulie Malignaggi in his hometown. He's fought, when you look at Keith Thurman, Shawn Porter, he's been in all the top fights. So the experience factor, I think you throw it out the window. I think the big factor that we're going to look at here tonight, Ray, is how is Errol going to look? Is he going to look from where he left off against Shawn Porter, and how, you know, he was one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world? When you talk about top, you look at Canelo, Fury, Joshua, obviously, you got Wilder, you got Crawford, you got Manny Pacquiao. Errol Spence is certainly in that conversation. Now you got Lopez, you got Gervonta Tank Davis. He's in that top 10 list, Ray.
Well, I think it isn't a far-fetched to say if Errol Spence can defeat and dominate Danny Garcia, then he has to be elevated to at least, in my opinion, I think it would cement his status as the pound-for-pound best in the world for Errol Spence.
He certainly can. I mean, I think Canelo would have something to say about that, but I mean, he puts himself probably with the win after everything that he's gone through, a win over Danny Garcia, he puts himself certainly in top 5, top 3. And then if you're Danny Garcia, I mean, he said it in the lead up. You know, people are saying Errol's, you know, the best in the division. They're saying he's, you know, one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. I beat him, then I'm one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world.
Well, I think if you're Danny Garcia, too, you have to be thinking in your mindset, if Danny Garcia defeats Errol Spence and hands him the first loss of his professional career, then that should punch his ticket to the Hall of Fame once his career has concluded.
1,000%. I mean, this is his resume. Like I have talked about, you know, people in the boxing community have not given Danny Garcia the credit that I believe he deserves. The resume that he's had, and as we take a look at the welterweight division, I mean, when you talk about it, obviously the top 2 guys in that division, when you look at Errol Spence Jr. with the unified welterweight champion, and then you look at Terrence Crawford, another champion, Manny Pacquiao as well.
The 8th wonder of the world, the division world champion Manny Pacquiao, who at 40 years of age continues to fight at a high level, along with handling business as a senator in the Philippines as well.
Sean Porter has fought both Danny Garcia and Errol Spence. Keith Thurman has fought Danny Garcia. Then you got, obviously, Danny Garcia himself, your Dennis Ugas, Jamal James. We talked about this, Ray. I mean, this division is loaded from top to bottom. There's so many great welterweights in this division, and to be the king of this division, I mean, that just shows you the talent that Errol Spence is.
Both men are extremely focused heading into this matchup. We have been around both guys for many, many years, and this is literally not just to set up the fight, but this is the absolute truth. I have literally not seen the level of focus on both men's behalf ever in their careers. They've gotten to that next level of focus.
1,000%, and no one's looking ahead. You know, when we look at fights, people talk about, oh, you know, if he beats this guy, if he beats this guy, then there's this fight ahead. I think, and Errol has said it, Danny has said it, there's no looking ahead. They are completely 100% zoned in on this fight and this fight alone. There is no looking ahead past Danny Garcia or Errol Spence for both of these guys.
When this place is packed to what capacity could be under the current COVID-19 rules, because of the fact that we are continuing to deal with COVID-19 here in the United States and throughout the world, there is limited fans in attendance. They've capped it at 16,000. So that is what is being implemented. So social distancing is in effect. You have to wear your masks when you're here watching the fight. So this place, Miguel, if this wasn't in the COVID era, I would say that this fight between Errol Spence and Danny Garcia would probably have drawn 50,000 plus if it wasn't due to COVID-19.
I mean, you saw Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence draw close to that, Ray, and I believe Danny Garcia, Errol Spence. Danny Garcia presents, I think, bigger problems for Errol Spence. He's got more power than Mikey Garcia. He's got great defense. He doesn't get hit a lot. He's one of the best welterweights in the sense of he doesn't get shots landed on him all that much. And he poses a very difficult test, a different test than Errol Spence has faced in his career.
Well, Errol Spence is known as a calculated and a deliberate starter. Danny Garcia, his Achilles heel is he's been a slow starter. That happened against Keith Thurman, that happened against Sean Porter. But the emphasis, you wonder, is Danny Garcia going to start a lot faster? Is he going to get out of the realm of what he typically does, or is he going to remain patient and wait for that moment?
And we've seen it, Ray, in his losses that he's had to top competition in Sean Porter and Keith Thurman. He has started slow, and that eventually, in these type of fights where it is separated by maybe 1 or 2 rounds, those 1 or 2 rounds may come from the first 3 rounds of the fight. and you have to continue. We've seen it this year, like I said earlier in the broadcast, Ray, we've seen it this year happen where champs lose their belts because they started slow and they don't pick it up till the 5th or 6th round. You cannot, and this is for both guys, you cannot do that and give away rounds because both Spence and Garcia are so dangerous that you can't afford to just give away rounds.
Well, this place is as packed as it could be under the new world in which we are living in of COVID-19. We wish all of you a happy holidays wherever you're joining us around the world. Ray Flores, Miguel Flores. Also, we wish all of you, and we continue to hope that everyone is safe and sound, and we will hopefully get past this worldwide pandemic. But right now, we are getting ready to watch an elite prize fight between two guys in the primes of their careers, getting ready to test one another. Their focus is probably the best it's ever been, Miguel, because they know the kind of level of opposition that will be standing across the ring from the other.
You can't play, Ray. Boxing is not a sport that you can play with. As you know, when you look at Errol Spence and Danny Garcia, one mistake can be the difference in a fight. And there we see.
Look who's in the house. Terrence Bud Crawford. Oh, he's a little conspicuous. It's Terrence Crawford. He's trying to kind of be incognito there.
We all know why he's here, Ray. He wants the winner of this fight. You know, as you see, there's some people that feel that he's the best welterweight in the world. And the only way to prove that is for him to step in the ring with whoever wins this fight tonight. Hopefully we see that in 2021. But again, he's very, very focused on who comes out the victor tonight, Ray.
Errol Spence Jr., the hometown favorite, is beloved here in the Dallas area. There have been only 4 world champions from the Dallas area, and Errol Spence is one of them. When he makes his walk to the ring, he will join Manny Pacquiao as being only the 2nd fighter to headline multiple times here at AT&T Stadium. This is becoming the home of Errol Spence here at AT&T Stadium, but he's got to defend his home turf tonight against Philadelphia's own Danny Garcia.
Errol Spence, Ray, I mean, this, like you said, this is the home that he is starting to make here. He does live about a couple hours away from Dallas. I mean, he's a guy that he loves fighting here in his home state of Texas. As we take a look at the tail of the tape, Ray, I mean, it's pretty even. Spence obviously has a slightly bigger reach. He is undefeated compared to the 2 losses of Danny Garcia. Garcia 2 years older. But the key factor that everyone has been waiting to see, Ray, is what Spence is going to look like. How are we going to see him come out? How is he going to be able to take a punch? Does he still have that rock solid chin that he's had throughout his entire career? We're going to find out very soon.
Well, we are getting ready to go ahead and await our main event of the evening between Errol Spence and Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia is giving away 1.5 inches from a height standpoint, and the reach advantage in favor of Errol Spence Jr. In the stadium, they are showing a pre-fight package to get you ready for this main event. Errol Spence and Danny Garcia, and here is the Philadelphia native. He has been a professional for over 13 years. He's trained by his father, Angel Garcia. He's of Puerto Rican descent. And Danny Garcia coming out to Jay-Z with the theme being allow myself to introduce myself. I got that wrong, but essentially what he's saying,
come on, Ray, you don't know your Jay-Z?
Well, listen, what I do know is I know boxing, and I can tell you that Danny Garcia has dynamite in both hands. Danny Garcia is focused, he is determined, and this guy has fought at the highest level for over 8 years.
He knows this is a legacy fight for him, Ray. The 2 big fights that he's had, he's come out on the short end. No matter what what you say, whether he should have won or lost, you know, in some of those fights, it was a loss. And that sticks with him, and he knows he is ever so close to being considered the top and pretty much being a shoo-in to the Hall of Fame. This is a legacy fight for Danny Garcia, and he's looking to make everyone in his Puerto Rico as well as Philadelphia proud and call himself a champion once again.
Danny Garcia in enemy territory, getting booed by the legions of Errol Spence fans, but he said that it's going to be even that much sweeter when he captures the welterweight championship of the world. And now we await the champion. And here is Errol Spence Jr., who is making his return to the ring after a layoff of 434 days. He said he is the most focused that he's ever been in his professional career, that it put things into perspective as to what really matters. He is one of the most lethal finishers in all of prize fighting. He had a stellar 2019 with the win over Mikey Garcia and Sean Porter. He said he's back, he's got a smile, and after that horrific car accident, he's headlining here at AT&T Stadium as the fans show them their support for the hometown son in Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. is the kind of fighter who wants to be known as an all-time great. In order to do that, he's got to beat a fighter of the caliber of Danny Garcia, a 2012 United States Olympian who had dreams of headlining and main eventing here at AT&T Stadium. He joins Manny Pacquiao as being just the second fighter to headline multiple times here at AT&T Stadium. Can he get another signature victory over Danny Garcia as Errol Spence Jr. returns to the ring here tonight?
What a fight we have lined up here, Ray. Spence, 14 months off, like you just said. We thought when we first heard about the accident that he was never going to fight again. We were never going to see Errol Spence in the ring. What a recovery he's made. It's been a long road, long journey. But again, here in his home state, he said it's a Jimmy Leonard Jr.
Spectacular AT&T Stadium here in Arlington, Texas, as Premier Boxing Champions presents the featured bout of the evening, promoted by TGB Promotions, Man Down Promotions, and DSG Promotions, as sponsored by Proper Number 12 Irish Whiskey, the finest, the tastiest, the smoothest liquid gold in the world, and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Order your parts online at O'ReillyAuto.com and get free curbside pickup. This bout is sanctioned by the WBC. The president in attendance, Mauricio Suleiman. Along with the IBF, the president is Daryl Peoples. Judging at ringside, Tim Cheatham, Barry Lindemann, and Steve Weisfeld. All right, fans, here we go with the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing with a highly anticipated showdown between battle of pound-for-pound greats for the unified WBC and IBF welterweight championship of the world. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance, and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, it's time for the main event of the evening. Introducing to you first the challenger on my left, fighting out of the red corner, wearing purple trunks with white trim, fighting out of and representing his home of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He weighed in at 146 3/4 pounds. His record stands at 36 wins, 2 losses, with 21 wins coming by way of knockout. In his 10th world title appearance, and having captured the unified super lightweight and welterweight titles, tonight he attempts to regain and reclaim the welterweight crown. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the renowned, top-rated world contender, the acclaimed former 2-division champion of the world, introducing Danny Swift Garcia. And his opponent across the ring is the defending world champion, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trunks with paint trim, fighting out of and proudly representing Dallas, Texas. He weighed in at a ready 146 1/2 pounds. Truly one of the stars of boxing and pound-for-pound greats. He is undefeated in his campaign in the ring with a record of 26 wins, no losses, 21 wins coming by way of knockout. Tonight, in a remarkable return to the ring, he is making his 5th world title appearance. Defense of his title, ladies and gentlemen, here is the former U.S. Olympian and current sensational, reigning and defending undefeated WBC and IBF welterweight champion of the world, introducing the Truth, Errol Spence Jr. And a referee in charge now to give instructions, Thomas Taylor.
Okay, corner. Trunks are a little high, so I'm going to give him to the middle of the letters here. He's also going to get to the middle of the letters here, okay? Trunks are a little high. I gave you instructions in the back, gentlemen. Protect yourselves at all times and listen to my commands. Touch them up. Back to your corner, gentlemen.
It is our main event of the evening. Thomas Taylor, referee in charge. Errol Spence Jr. back in the ring after over 14 months, including that horrific car accident. Danny Garcia looking to once again put championship gold around his waist. The welterweight championship of the world is on the line. Can Errol Spence Jr. remain undefeated?
Right here. He's never lost to one.
Yeah, the last southpaw that he boxed against was
Ivan Redcatch.
And you know, he was practicing the right hand to the body, so I'm expecting the right hand to Spence's body right now, because he's been practicing that with the last southpaw, so he's going to do it with this one.
You know, Garcia able to block that left hand to the body. Errol Spence is the most accurate body puncher in boxing. He is able to land with that left hand continually, and Garcia able to block that. That could be significant in this fight. There's a shot that landed from Spence. Good combination.
Well, Spence landed, but Danny Garcia connected with a counter right hand left hook. So, you know, this is what Danny's good at. You touch him, he'll play tag with you really well. Spence he doesn't want to sit on the ropes, I can tell you that, Brian.
Spence coming in with that left hand, charging hard, but you're absolutely right. Garcia will do subtle things that are sometimes difficult to see. Comes in with that right hand to the body, but he is able to respond and counter punch effectively. He'll counter right hand, drive Spence back.
There's another example of it. Spence landed the straight left of the belly, and Garcia countered with the right hand up top.
Do you think he can hurt Errol Spence? I mean, everybody can hurt everybody, Joe, but, you know, do you think he can actually land and hurt Spence?
It's hard to hurt Spence. He's been hit by, you know, some of the best guys in the division. I've really never seen him hurt.
A lot of tension in this building, I can tell you that.
Yeah, but Danny Garcia, anytime he's throwing his punches with his body behind him. He knows how to use his weight.
He does. He does. That's why Thurman said he's the hardest hitting guy he's been in the ring with.
Garcia able to land with the jab to the body. The left hand there from Spence. Spence is usually content to slow. And there's a right hand from Garcia, straight up the middle, able to land.
And you know, Garcia's right hand is not coming straight. It's like a whipping right hand, and he throws it very well.
Yeah, he knows how to fight a southpaw, and Spence is again trying to put on that pressure, but he's got to be careful not to get clipped by a counter punch himself.
Final seconds there of round number 1. We'll take another look, and we'll try to get Shawn Porter's prediction now, right? We've seen one round.
Now, Errol Spence with a jab. Danny Garcia parried it and missed with the counter right hand. Here goes that body shot. Garcia throws that little chopping right, and then a left hook that landed on top of the head. So that's what he'll do to you. And there's that little sweeping right you were talking about, Lennox. But see, Danny Garcia knows how to fight a southpaw. And you got to use the lead right hand at the right time, and he does it. And the other thing that Danny Garcia does is he'll move to the left hand of a southpaw, which is completely opposite of what you're taught normally. And southpaws expect you to go to their right hand side, and if you change that up like Garcia does, it's a little confusing for southpaws.
Spence is totally committed to the body. 10 of his 15 landed punches were to the body, and sometimes they're hard to see, but even in that exchange you could see Spence is able to snake in a shot and land a good body shot on Danny Garcia.
You're right. When he goes to the body, he usually lands. It's rare that Errol Spence misses with a body shot.
And he outlands against everybody, Joe. It's remarkable. Like what he did against Mikey Garcia was incredible. But he just outlands everybody. He's probably going to outland Garcia. It's just a matter tonight if Garcia can do damage with the shots he lands.
You're right.
Yeah, but Garcia is a very tricky fighter, and he moves well, and he tries to set traps for his opponents. Just when you think you have him and you're getting him, he comes out with a punch, a left hook or right hand, or a body punch.
We will find, by the way, I hope Kate Abdo is up there recording the predictions now for Shawn Porter, because we believe Shawn is ready to make his predictions. So that's it for round 1. But, I'm sure there is information to be processed after round 1. So Lennox, you first. What did we learn in round 1 from the fitness of Spence and the strategy of Garcia?
No, I expect Spence to come out like this, and I expected Garcia to come out like he did. Like I said, he's going to pick his moments. He hasn't reached that moment yet. He's still checking out Spence and seeing what he can do, but he's just, warming up into the first couple rounds.
But Spence looks like Spence, doesn't he, Joe? I mean, that looks like Errol Spence.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's kind of what I said going into this thing. And I agree with Shawn. Give him a round. Let's see what Errol Spence looks like exactly. And he looks like just a nice left hand right there. He looks like his old self. He's putting on pressure. He's taking chances. He's looking to win this fight. I don't see any hesitation in his style or his demeanor at all.
Right, Spence, if you watch Errol Spence against either Kell Brook, Mikey Garcia, Shawn Porter in the early rounds, you'd say, hey, this is competitive, he has his hands full. And then in the later rounds, he busted up Brook, made him quit, befuddled Garcia, and knocked down Shawn Porter. So if this is what we see with Spence now, he usually gets better and better.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But, again, Danny Garcia is probably in the best shape of his life. He'll be good down the stretch himself. That doesn't mean that Errol Spence can't, put some real hurt on him and stop him later on in the fight. That could happen.
Oh, got caught in there, a little off balance with the jab after he threw the haymaker right hand. Yeah, he's able to drive Spence back a little bit. That could be significant.
Yeah, that was a good haymaker left hand by Spence.
Now, the probability of Spence knocking Danny Garcia out, I might add, I don't think is high. I think this is a long distance fight, because both of these guys are very savvy and very experienced.
I thought that was interesting in the last few seconds.
Not prone to get knocked out.
Right, just to see Danny Garcia able to get physical, land a shot, drive Spence back. Again, that's a little more information to take here. And that's clearly after the bell. But we're going to go upstairs and find out what Shawn Porter is thinking. Kate Abdo, take it away.
Thanks very much, guys. Yeah, we gave you 2 rounds, not 1, but you made your decision after the first.
I'm telling you, no need to even cue me up. Listen, I love what I see tonight. Danny Garcia he's not being aggressive, but he's punching. He's trying to punch and counter every time Errol Spence throws. That's exactly what he needs to do, and I love what I'm seeing from Errol Spence. He looks like he's 100%. He looks like he's himself. I got Errol Spence Jr. winning a close decision tonight.
Guys, we got to pick. Brian, back to you.
All right, there you go.
Nervous. I hate picking.
At least we put his feet to the fire. And I believe Danny Garcia outlanded Errol Spence in that second round. Errol Spence is rarely outlanded on the CompuBox stats, as we watch here at the end of the round, getting physical. Now it's late.
That was nice. See, Danny Garcia is smart. He's crafty. He's cunning. And he hits hard. And I like what Shawn just said, and who better to tell us what's going on in the ring between these two guys since he's been in with both.
And look, for Garcia's point, right, not to go away quietly. Indeed, there it is, 8-7 and punches landed for Danny Garcia after getting outlanded 15-9. Not that that means that the winner of the CompuBox numbers wins the round, but it can be indicative of what happened. And if you're a Garcia fan, I think you could be slightly heartened, Lennox, possibly, by what you saw there for at least that 30-second stanza.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, he's going to pick his spots. The only problem with that, what he did, he hit him after the bell. You know, he tested the chin after the bell. You got to test the chin while the round is going on.
Garcia goes down.
No, that was a trip over the
got awkward and went down, of course.
Which happens all the time, most of the time, with when you got an orthodox boxer and a southpaw boxer. They always mix their feet up.
See, Danny Garcia's been real clever here right now. And look at him. He's coming in with the 1-2-1. He's starting off with the jab right hand and finishing with the jab. And that's kind of bothersome for Errol Spence right now.
Yeah, they're both going to the body. Again, Spence is the best in the world at throwing body shots. Look at that jab. It's beautiful as well. I mean, he's such a complete boxer. But there's a hard left hand by Errol Spence. Drives Garcia back.
To the body. He hit him to the body for sure. And Danny tried to counter and fell off balance.
Errol has deceptive power, doesn't he? I mean, he doesn't have that body where you think he's going to hurt you. It's a hard right hand by Garcia. But he is able to really lay the wood to you.
Yeah, he's putting his body behind his punches as well. He's launching that left hand from far and is coming far and it's landing.
Spence is digging in.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything deceptive about Errol Spence's power, to tell you the truth. I think it's a proven commodity, and that anybody that's going to be in there with him, if you're a coach on the other side, you know that he's a dangerous guy at all times.
Well, it's an accumulation of power. You know, it's not Tommy Hearns on Pequeno Cuevas. You know, it's not he starts you with one shot. But obviously, look,
he can put you down.
Oh, look, he did it to Shawn Porter. He did that late, but it was an accumulation of punishment. I mean, look at the physiques of the guy. You could say that.
See, I like what Errol Spence is doing right now. He's close to Danny. He's got his hands up high, and he's basically putting, pressure on him, forcing him to either throw a punch so he can do something off of that.
Good jab work there by Errol Spence. He spins Garcia around and he continues to punch. Hey, that's fair game.
Yeah, that's
all right.
Yeah, Spence was good. He didn't hit him behind the back. He aimed for the front of the head.
Yep. Absolutely not a dirty fighter. Again, he was hit after the bell too, so he could try to return the favor. As they get into a wrestling match here in the final seconds of round number 3. Spirited action here in the first 3 rounds of the welterweight championship. And we are going to go into the corner and listen to Angel Garcia here after 3 rounds. See what he says to his son.
Top of the nose.
Not the rope, Jack. You want on the rope, not the rope. You heard me? Not the rope. Let's breathe. No, a little cut, like a scratch. There's a little baby scratch. Listen.
Just so you know, he's got a cut on top of the nose. I ruled it from a punch.
Okay, you dipping and slipping, make him pay though. You're giving him too much confidence. Back him the fuck off. Be smart, Danny. Don't jump out.
You guys know this cut is from a punch.
Yeah.
On the nose, okay?
Danny, it's not a cut, Danny. It's a baby. It's a baby nothing. But let's stop on that.
I got it.
What you waiting for?
I know.
Danny.
It's in here.
Danny, don't jump straight back. Okay? Keep circling on him, Danny. You got to make him pay when he throws, go under and work with him. Okay? You give him too much respect. Keep your hands up. Fuck this pussy up, man.
Yeah, that cut's nothing, Bry, and Angel's right. I don't think it's a factor at all.
Yeah, there's still a lot of talk about cut. There's a cut. There's a cut. Like, oh, where is it?
But I'll tell you what. What's more threatening than that cut is the way Errol Spence is putting on pressure right now.
Yeah. And look, Errol Spence outlanding Danny Garcia, only 10-9. And again, that's not the norm.
Yeah.
Let's go to Larry Hazard right now, see how he scores the first 3 rounds. Larry, how do you have it?
Well, you guys are doing a great job of analyzing this thing. I got Spence ahead 30-27. Danny Garcia is going to have to take a page out of Sean Porter's book and jump on top of Spence and take this fight into the trenches if he expects to win. Right now, Spence is having his way. I got him 3 rounds to 0 going up.
Larry, thank you very much. Yeah, look, that could be definitely the way. Possibly second round could go to Garcia. Joe Lennox, would you have any rounds going to Danny so far?
Not now. Like I said, Spence is controlling the fight with his jab, and he's controlling the distance, and he's throwing good combinations. When you step in with the jab like that, Danny Garcia is just moving around. He's trying to find a way to counterpunch.
Good hook there by Garcia, at least landed slightly on the side, and there's a body shot, little right hand to the body and then the head.
To answer your question, it's hard to ever argue with Larry Hazard, and I completely agree with him. It's right now it's Sean Porter, it's Errol Spence that is really pressing the action here, that's taking the fight to Garcia, and he's the one that looks like he's winning the fight.
And Angel said, look, don't give him so much respect, right? So he's asking him to get in there closer.
Oh, right, he understands what he's looking at right now.
Yeah, the size difference on the height difference really makes a matter difference as well, because with Errol's throwing that jab, and Danny boxing against a guy that's a great jabber, plus he's taller and he throws a lot of punches. It's kind of difficult for Danny to really focus on what he needs to do. What he needs to do is really come back with the punches, like his father was saying. Don't give him those free shots. Don't step back too much. Better off stepping to the side, which he did.
And Errol Spence, Lennox makes that so difficult. He's so active. That jab is long, it's strong, it's snappy. There it is right there, bouncing off the head of Danny Garcia. And at any moment, he will throw that left hand to the body. There it is, a good uppercut as well. Spence is #1 in the welterweight division in punches per round. Punches landed per round, jabs landed, power punches.
And body punches.
Yeah, I mean, he is #1. His accuracy in his body shots, also #1 in a star-studded division. But yet you see punches landed 43-35. That's not a wide margin. Garcia tries with the right hand. Spence comes firing right back. Excellent work rate by Errol Spence. Right hand was blocked. And that to the body. Garcia stays active. Let's go to the corner of the champion.
Listen, when you throw the jab, don't push it out there. Keep it popping. Don't get too comfortable with it, all right? Keep shooting the stick. And listen, step over and start shooting that. Number 5, coming up 6, coming up, I don't know.
Coming up on 5, coming up on 5.
Listen. No, it gotta be 6. Listen, keep that stick popping, right? And then listen, you're looking for the jab, start sneaking that hook around the side. You gotta shovel to him, or you gotta throw a wild one, one of the two. You make the decision. Well, listen, also when you get on the side, he make the move. So just step around, don't shoot the shot when he's there. Step around and hit him on the side, all right? You're making him dip down, so when you shoot the shot when you get to the side. Don't shoot the shot over his head, all right? So I think like 6. 6 is 6.
Round 5.
This is towards the end of the round, if I'm not mistaken. This is a little looper around the guard of Spence, and it landed. And then he goes back down to the belly and hits him really solid. I mean, he's got to do more of that if he wants to, win rounds here, because right now Spence is outworking him.
Yeah, but it's amazing, Joe, to me, the CompuBox numbers are always so widely in favor of Errol Spence, even against Sean Porter, where Porter was throwing bombs. But the punch differential the last 3 rounds has been by 1 punch. 8-7, 10-9, 13-12. And that means Garcia is in this fight. Now, that doesn't mean everything.
I mean, you can see the numbers, but when you're watching the fight, you're calculating who's winning.
Yeah, but also, look, Garcia's landing those shots, Joe, is what I'm saying. He's landing meaningful shots.
I know that, but I'm just saying, you can make an estimation by the end of the round who won that round, whether you look at a punch stat or not, can't you?
Absolutely. What I'm saying is normally, even in a close round like against Sean Porter, oh, that's a good hard left hand on Garcia. Spence would have this wide discrepancy. I mean, he just outlands everybody. And here Garcia is able to stay in the fight. Now, I don't know if he's taken any rounds, and I think Spence is getting the better of it. But Garcia is very much in this, at least by the CompuBox.
Grown to know out of the Dallas native.
He's looked outstanding, Ray, and Danny's got to find some answers quickly. Again, still always dangerous, but so far I think he's allowing Errol to
dictate the pace.
Exactly, and you cannot allow the champ to do that.
Body work by Errol Spence. Also, I'd have to say that the defense of Errol Spence is something to admire, because there have been times when Garcia has thrown that right hand and Errol's been able to get his left glove up to partially block and absorb the impact of that right hand. There's a straight left right on the chin by Errol Spence. Boy, is he sharp.
And that's the thing that I think is throwing Danny off. Typically, you know, a fighter, I think he's expecting just the 1-2, but then Spence throws 3-4 back to 1-2. And that's where it's kind of throwing Danny off. Is Spence is throwing punches and bunches right now and then steps away.
Well, he uses his distance very well. There's a right hand that partially backed up Errol Spence, but it was a grazing shot. We are coming up upon 30 seconds to go in this 5th round.
And like you said about the defense of Errol, he's done a tremendous job getting his glove up, avoiding that right hand. But again, that is a dangerous game to play with Danny Garcia. All he needs is one opening to land a clean shot, and we still have 7 rounds to go.
Well, the face of Danny Garcia starting to swell from the accumulation of punches from those straight lefts from Errol Spence Jr.
Listen for the bell, gentlemen.
And that ends the 5th.
Right there, I think that you see a little bit of a frustration off Danny Garcia.
Here is some of the action from the 5th.
All right, here, yep, right hand, but just grazed. Errol saw the right hand coming, and he was able to get out of the way just enough not to feel that full force right there. Just clipped the ear just a bit, but again, Errol, it just seems to be one step ahead of Danny right now and is kind of reading all those shots coming towards him.
Towards this guy. All right, so look this way, okay? All right, all right. Listen, stay focused, Dan. You hear me? Just take it to him, Dan. You're doing the right thing. Keep throwing that right hand. You're landing it. Listen, when you see the opportunity, you gotta flush it. Then if you tell me Google, Danny, overhand.
It would appear as if Angel Garcia was telling his son he wants him to set his feet, and I'm literally sort of guessing. He wants him to set his feet and throw that right hand with more leverage behind his punches. But that's easier said than done when you have Errol Spence being aggressive, coming forward, making you uncomfortable.
Exactly. He's coming forward. And also, Errol's just so quick. His defense has been spot on tonight so far. He's not an easy target to hit.
Stop.
That's why Porter had so much success, because he wasn't able to clip Spence a lot flushly, but he was just so much pressure on Errol that Errol had to take a couple of steps back throughout the fight. Right now, against Danny, he has not had to take too many steps back throughout this entire fight at all. Well, it's Errol the one pushing the pace, being aggressive, being the one stepping to Danny.
Errol lands a left on the right side of the body of Danny Garcia. Punch stats through 5. 69 landed for Spence, 50 for Danny Garcia. Spence starting to be the aggressor even that much more. His confidence continues to grow. .100 seconds left here in the 6th. Well, so far, Errol Spence is pretty much proving those who thought there could be ring rust. What ring rust? what effects from the car accident. Underneath the left eye is starting to redden and swell for Danny Garcia. That could be problematic. Danny Garcia sits down in his punches, but Errol Spence continues to trudge forward. There's a straight left right on the chin by Errol Spence.
Yeah, I have not noticed the difference in Errol Ray. I mean, he's looking sharp, outstanding, coming forward. Danny's the one that continues to back up, and right now, I think Errol's starting to smell blood in the water, Ray. I think he's going for the finish.
This would be a signature victory upon his resume if he can become the first guy to stop Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia, underneath his left eye, has got a cut. It's starting to swell, and that could be an issue if it impairs the vision of Danny Garcia. Now, let's not forget, Danny's from Philadelphia, and he is so emblematic of what it is to be a strong, proud Philadelphia champion.
There's a good right by Danny, squeezing in through the defense of Errol.
Another straight left down the center as Errol continues to come forward.
Stop on the belt, gentlemen.
And I think Errol's just coming at so many different angles, Ray, that it's just, it's hard to set up that right that Angel is talking about to Danny.
Halfway home.
Thank you, sir.
Here is some of the action. That stiff jab right on the nose by Errol Spence.
And right there, again, he's just hounding him. Even though he missed, he's on top of Danny, and there was that right hand that was able to clip the chin a little bit of Errol. But again, Errol still coming forward, did not back up.
Now we're good. They're controlling the swelling well. It's just got some good swelling, but
There's another stiff jab right there as you see Errol coming through. It was partially blocked, but it's just the aggression, and then comes right through with the straight left again.
Well, Errol Spence has an 80% knockout percentage. It has been over 6 years, and the swelling continues underneath the left eye of Danny Garcia. It has been over 6 years since Errol Spence has gone back-to-back. Last year, he had 2 decisions. Before that, from 2014 to 2018, he had 11 straight stoppages. You know Errol Spence covets getting a finish every time out.
Let arm go, guys.
Fighting on the inside. Body work by Errol Spence. A shot below the belt by Garcia, inadvertent. But now Garcia looking to throw some offense.
There's another great body shot by Errol.
Punch connects. 78 for Errol Spence compared to just 53 for Danny Garcia. Only 3 punches landed in that 6th round, according to our punch stats. Also, Miguel, Errol Spence is showcasing that he is the bigger man, and he's using his physicality to get the better and use that to his advantage against Danny Garcia, the smaller man.
Yeah, and that was one of the difficulties that Errol had against Shawn Porter. Shawn was just as big, very strong fighter, whereas Danny isn't as built like Shawn Porter, and now Errol can use that and use his physicalness to just kind of press up against Danny Garcia and really make him feel his weight.
There's a size difference you see from the traps of Errol Spence, but Danny Garcia is extremely quick and he's accurate as a puncher, so you cannot count him out. But so far, at least in the first half of the fight, it was largely in favor of Errol Spence.
One of the differences, Ray, that, you know, with Errol, he's typically used to coming into camp at 190 and dropping to 147. This fight, he's came into camp at around 160, 165. So that was, you're talking about a 30-pound difference coming into camp. So he didn't have to cut that much weight. So he is, as you see, he has not slowed down whatsoever. His energy is at top-notch level right now.
An inadvertent headbutt, a little bit of swelling above the left eye of Errol Spence, but it's on the forehead. I don't believe it's on the eye. It's on the forehead of Errol Spence. There's a left that rips the right side of the body of Danny Garcia. Danny cannot set his feet and gain anything with proper leverage because Errol Spence is constantly on him.
And he's constantly moving. He's not in one place at all. So it's hard. When you're looking for that shot that, they're talking about in Garcia's corner, you're trying to find an opening for a second that you can land that right. But it is easier said than done with a guy like Errol Spence, who, like I said, he's constantly moving, dunking and diving, feinting, and giving different angles.
That's the end of the 7th. I wonder if that headbutt affected Errol Spence at all. Listen into the corner, Derek James and his father, Errol Spence Sr. Take a look at that headbutt. Boom. Ooh. And immediately Errol Spence pushes him off.
Yeah, no, it almost, you can kind of see his knee buckled a bit. He was wobbled a little bit. So that's something to keep your eye on, Ray.
Well, considerably, because Errol Spence walked. He was okay walking back to the corner, but you wonder if there was any hesitation in regards to how he is moving and his mobility.
So, by using your feet, you're not in front of him, all right? Taking toes, he's still alive. He still got some shit he's trying to do.
You pointed out about Errol Spence being a complete fighter. He has these slight movements that his head is never stationary to be able to get unloaded upon. He's always using these slight feints and movements to throw off his opponent.
That's just what makes him so good. That's what separates Errol Spence from the other welterweights and just the other fighters in the world.
That's what makes him great. I mean, without the shadow of a doubt. I mean, he is really looking exceptional tonight, especially after that 14-month-plus layoff.
It's so hard to be as aggressive as Spence is and his fighting style and not get hit nearly as much with the power shots and just with shots in general with the way he fights.
It is a calculated aggression, but it all starts off with the jab from Errol Spence. Everything comes off the jab. He has pure fundamentals. Danny Garcia just shook his right hand, and I wonder if there is a problem with the right hand of Danny Garcia. That is an indication that the right hand might be hurt. Well, he just threw it, so maybe that was just Danny trying to get warmed up with that right hand.
And again, Ray, when they get in these exchanges, Errol is just backing Danny up. They're shoulder to shoulder for one exchange, but then Errol continues to come forward and Danny backs up. And that right there tells me that Errol is winning those close-to-close contests, and he continues to just he's wearing Danny down. As you see it, you can just kind of see it on his face.
Well, it's not just the physical pressure, it's the mental pressure, because Danny Garcia's got to be thinking, oh my goodness, I can't set up and land anything clean against this guy. There's a left right to the abdomen by Errol Spence. We have 70 seconds to go here in the 8th. So far, the majority of this fight has been dominated by Errol Spence. And there's a left in close distance.
Part of me wonders, Ray, if Danny was coming into this fight, I mean, it was impossible not to have it in your head with as much talk as there was surrounding Errol Spence and that accident. Part of me wonders if even in the back of his head a little bit, and as you see Spence continuing to pour it on Danny.
Well, the fans showing their approval, voicing their approval. There's a big straight left. Errol Spence trying to tee off upon Danny Garcia. Well, the prediction of Angel Garcia went by the wayside of a 7th-round stoppage. Now I think it is starting to become apparent that Danny Garcia may need a stoppage or at least a knockdown or two in order to have somewhat of a chance on the scorecards if it does go the full 12.
And that's what I was saying. I was wondering if in the back of Danny's head, Ray, he was hearing all this talk and wondering and almost expecting maybe there was going to be a little bit of a lesser version of Errol Spence.
That could be the case. We endeavor into the 9th round, swelling underneath the left eye.
He's pretty bad, you in the ropes. Stay in the middle of the ring, man.
You gotta pick it up, dude.
Okay, let me see the pump. Let me see that. Let me see one. Let me see one. Let me see one. Let me see one, bro. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see, bro. Give him water. Give him water.
Gentlemen, I've got a cut over here on the other corner by a punch.
You got to start letting him pity pat you in the fucking corner. You hear me?
Hit it with the inside. Hit it with
Don't let him pity pat you.
Swelling underneath the left eye of Danny Garcia.
You hear me? He's pity patting you, Dan. Don't let him pity pat you, Dan. Get the fuck off the road. Dale duro, no dando duro a él. Dale duro. Duro. Dale duro, campeón. Duro.
Coming up on round number 9, but I will say this, Miguel, that Danny Garcia has landed punches against Errol Spence, and I did see a little bit of swelling outside of the left eye of Errol Spence towards the end of that 8th round. So Danny is a pinpoint counter puncher, and Danny is throwing, but we'll see if he starts to show and up his volume of punches.
You got to. You're at the point now where you're in the last, 4 rounds of the fight. You have to empty the tank. This is for it all. And right now, Errol, it appears, has gotten the better of Danny. Do we know if that's the way it is on the judges' scorecards? We do not, but that's where Danny's got to unload and really start to press the action against Errol. Right now, he's allowed throughout the entire fight Errol to dictate the pace and really decide how this fight's going to go so far.
There's a big right hand that caught the attention of Errol Spence for Danny Garcia. Probably his best punch in a few rounds because he set his feet and then uncorked that right hand. And Errol took it. We come up on the midway point of the 9th. So power punches through 8, 120 for Spence, 75 for Danny Garcia. So numerically, you see the disparity in favor of Errol Spence. But as we have pointed out, Danny Garcia has dynamite in both hands. There's a right to the body by Danny Garcia. Garcia is starting to become more offensive-minded here in the 9th, Miguel.
I think he understands what he needs to do the remainder of this fight. And that's going to leave himself open a bit, but it's kind of the sacrifices you got to make. Right now, I think Errol is just kind of, at least for this round, just kind of coasting.
Conserving energy for those championship rounds, but still Danny Garcia is taking advantage of that, and he's being more active and busier. Well, Angel Garcia told Danny, stay in the center of the ring. Do not allow him to drive you to the perimeter of the ring into the ropes.
And I think this is the first time, Ray, we've seen all fight where Danny has controlled the center of the ring.
Double jab by Spence as Garcia came forward. Final moments of the 9th.
Listen for the bell, gentlemen.
And that ends round 9. We head towards the 10th.
Dan, can you please stop kicking that fucking ball? You sound like you fucking hit like a little kid, bro. It's the fucking red. That's the noise, bro. Ahora ruido, puñeta. ¿Qué pasa aquí, puñeta?
Well, Terrence Crawford has been shown on the big screen, and he's getting booed with a hatred from the fans here at AT&T Stadium.
Here, Ray, we take a look at some of the highlights of that 9th round. Probably Danny's, best round. Errol got a straight left in there, but Danny was able to control the center of the ring a lot more. Was able to get a straight right in, connecting on the chin of Spence.
Errol Spence a little more relaxed in that 9th round.
Guys, let's get this water.
Thomas Taylor saying a little bit too much water there in the corner of Danny Garcia on the canvas. Round 10, this one is scheduled.
And this is what I talked about, Ray. How is the cardio of Errol Spence? It's 14 months is a long layoff, and you can have, the best cardio in the world in training camp, but it's a different beast once you're in the ring. And this is kind of where I want to see the activity level of Spence if he's able to keep it up as high as he did in the earlier rounds.
Well, I'll say this about this matchup, that Danny Garcia is giving Errol Spence some pretty solid resistance. I'm not saying, I think he won a couple of rounds. I see it 6-3 in favor of Spence. He's not pushing Spence to the degree of Sean Porter, but that's not Danny Garcia's style.
Right now, I think we're seeing Danny trying to figure out how he's going to approach these next 3 rounds, trying to start with the body to try to open up the top for that right hand.
Well, would you believe entering the 9th round, or entering the 10th round, Danny Garcia has a 2-punch edge regarding power punches landed. 72 for Garcia, 70 for Spence entering the 10th.
It doesn't feel that way. It feels like Spence has pretty much controlled this fight.
Well, he's been controlling it with his jab, which he has a significant advantage in. Right to the body by Danny Garcia.
And I think now you're starting to see Spence turn it up just a little bit more.
But there's a right hand.
And that
by
backs
Danny
Spence
Garcia. Oh, that was a heavy right hand from the Philadelphia native. Under a minute to go, and another right hand backing up Errol Spence. There is those clubbing right hands that Danny Garcia has been so successful with over the course of his 10-plus year career. He's been a pro for over 13 years, has Danny Garcia.
And I think this might be the second win that I think Danny needed.
He's been in the ring with the likes of Lucas Matisse, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter. There's a left hook. Amir Khan, Eric Morales, Paulie Malignaggi. Final moments of the 10th.
And this is one thing you got to watch for, Ray. Errol's defense has been stellar throughout most of this fight, but over the last 2 rounds, it has